Good. Hello, speed racing community, and welcome to another Link to the Past Randomizer daily race. We have a fun seed in store for today's mystery race. Will we need to bring home the bacon, slay Ganon? Will we be on the lookout for the golden Doritos and on our Triforce hunt? Or will entrances even lead to where we'd expect? My name is Sorcerer Finch, and joining me on the broadcast is Zethno. Zethno, how are you doing today?
I'm doing pretty good. I'm really excited to see what comes out of this mystery seed.
Same here, same here. We also want to shout out Artaro, our wonderful tracker who will be helping us keep up with our racers' items. Speaking of, our two restreamed racers tonight, GFE 12 and Radical Sniper 99, are sure to put on quite the performance. So I don't have a whole trove of information about mystery seeds. Zethno, what are you looking for in a mystery seed?
Oh, I don't really know. There's something in particular that I'm looking for. It's mostly the early scouting to see what we have, to see if which randomizations we run across first. Things like Randomizer. But speaking of Randomizer, Radical is showing us we do have Randomizer today. So there's that.
And not only Randomizer, but his the item that he picked up in Link's house was the mirror, so that's already a nice find.
But yeah, I think the other thing, there are some options for some starting items, which we obviously did not get. And there is a small chance of entrance shuffle, which it looks like we didn't get, unless our game is just kind of tricking us with Uncle.
Could be an uncle giving us a little bit of money as well, his last will and inheritance.
With the second entrance checked, I think we can probably say that this is not an entrance seed, but once in a blue moon, I have seen seeds do this, where you get 2 or 3 entrances that are normal, and then all of a sudden it's like, hey, wow, when did we get on an entrance seed? But I think we're solidly past that.
I think so too, yeah. And that mirror already helping Radical Sniper get to the entrance of the Sanctuary. That was definitely a good pickup to get early on, it seems.
There, okay.
Oh, and we do have wild maps as well.
Sick.
It looks
yes,
like
we do.
That's what it looks like. That's only a 40% chance, so we could still be.
Yep. Sorry. Continue.
Yeah, it's all right. Yeah, there's still the question of we have wild maps, but about compasses or keys even. So we'll have some interesting things to find out later on the seed.
That is not a nice Lionel on GFE screen. Thankfully, you can kind of skip that area. But yeah, going back to what you said, there is a 40% chance individually of maps, compasses, small keys, and big keys. So we'll see as we go.
And GFE giving us our Kakariko Village checks. Was fortunate to be able to pick up a good number of bombs. The tree pools were very generous for both of our runners as well.
The bombs really are always nice, but those are gloves on GFE's side.
That is going to open up a couple doors for him right there.
Oh, hey, Radical with the fish.
Oh, there you go. That will be that's one way to earn money early on.
So you do get, for anyone who's new or may not have seen this, you do get a whole bunch of prizes from the bottle vendor if you bring him a fish. The only thing is, in the normal game, you'd have to walk that all the way from the dam, which is way too far to be reasonable. But in Randomizer, it's a lot closer.
Anything is possible. Well, mostly anything is possible. So at this point, it looks like we definitely do have a normal seed. We're not doing a Triforce hunt. We're not doing an entrance randomizer at all. So we still have a decent chance, though, whether we need to go through Ganon's tower or not. It's a 45% chance we need to defeat Ganon. 35% chance that the hole is already open for Ganon. And we also don't know yet if we have to complete all of our dungeons, or I suppose if it's just get to the pedestal as quickly as you can.
Yeah, there's still a lot of goal options, for sure. There's also still the... Nope. Our item pool is definitely normal as well, because we have the blue mail. So we didn't get hard or expert pool.
That, I'm sure, for a mystery seed is probably one of those, depending on the other options that do get pulled, probably one of those thank goodness almost things. Although depending on our racers, they may want that extra challenge.
Yeah, I mean, once you see Randomizer, pool can get a little funny. When you get, if you get an expert pool, the lack of items and hearts, and then you get some bad enemies in tight places, you can die very easily.
That is true, and
GFE sees the piece of heart, says, nah, I'm not even going to walk over there.
And at this point, especially since it's not entrance, because it's a normal item pool, I can understand that play absolutely. GFE is not chose to go back to Sanctuary though, and it looks like is opting to check the back of Escape for those 3 items.
It's a pretty dense location. There's a lot of items. Okay, there's some red guards down here. It is a pretty dense location with 3 checks right there. GFE doing a pretty good job of actually avoiding all those guards. Hammer.
Getting rewarded. Hammer, Quake. That's a pretty nice troll right there.
We can get into the Dark World. We don't have Moon Pearl, but we can get into the Dark World.
And GFE does pick up that mirror, so even though GFE may be their bunny sprite when they come in, they can come right back out. And it looks like both of our runners are starting potentially on their South Shore checks. Sniper picking up that map of Eastern. Picking up those maps will now mark on the world map if that item is a crystal or if it's a pendant, and then which one it is. So that could be interesting information, but at this point we still don't know what the win condition is.
Yeah, the runners can decide, hey, we're going to focus crystals, and then find out they're not required. Though there is a pretty strong likelihood that crystals are required at this point. The only chance that they don't have to get some is if we get a pet seed, which is only at 10% weight.
True. So then the question then becomes, do we also have to get all the pendants? Are we in an all dungeons kind of mode?
Yeah, so there is a 20% chance that pendants are required.
And it is also looking, based on the items that we've gotten so far, and there's flippers that Sniper has, and there's the lamp on GFE's screen as well.
Sorry, that was the lamp on GFE's side?
The lamp was on the desert ledge, yes.
That'll be something to look for. I would normally say these 2 runners probably don't need the lamp, but this is Randomizer, and Randomizer can be very rude with dark rooms.
They absolutely can.
If you were watching Radical's side there, that path to Ice Rod Cave was not something I want to do.
And that.
Yeah, and actually, a comment in chat too. That mini Moldrum Cave was with the disappearing enemies was not a good room.
That's true, but Radical does make it up the path to Ice Rod Cave. And it seems like so far we do not have random wild keys on so far, just based on the checks that we've gotten so far. But so that could be.
I definitely agree with you. By this point, we probably would have seen a key.
Oh, and GFE now going through that mini Moldorm cave.
He does have a hammer. There it is. I was wondering about that. It's not a great way to do it, but it's easier than bombs at times. We do have the flippers checks over on Radical's side.
And it looks like on the island, it's just, and GFE picks up his flippers. Ooh.
Oh! See, that's an enemy that causes problems with fake flippers. because the thief doesn't do damage, you will get soft locked, not killed, if the thief walks into you.
Oh goodness, but that check already paying off. That Moon Pearl, Radical just needs to check the back of Escape, and he'll have Dark World access.
Yeah, I was just thinking about how we basically are on a mission to find the Moon Pearl, and Radical picked it up, so I didn't get to say.
And it looks like both of our racers, it looks like that is where Radical is heading, and GFE is about to pick up his Moon Pearl. So both of our runners will be able to access the Dark World momentarily.
Yeah, so at this point, do you go into Village of Okas?
At this point, that's a pretty dense location, and without having bow, I might go towards Eastern and see how much I can pull, but Village of Outcasts is probably another good play as well. In addition, that can give you green pendant information and the 3 items in Sassy's closet. Radical trying to farm some bombs from that 50-50 rock right there. And GFE chose to continue along, going to the waterfall cave, just getting a the blue meringue for his trouble.
Not a particularly helpful item right at this moment.
But this is a fun. This looks like a fun trip up to Zora's ledge. That GFE just checks what's on the ledge and pieces out. Radical, it looks like, might be going for Hype Cave at this point, which that would be another good place to go to right now. It's very quick.
Yeah, to me that's a very high density location. So it's always nice to get those 5 items.
And those rollers in the water, forcing GFE to take a little bit of time, but navigates through them pretty nicely. And we have a unique item in Hype Cave, and unfortunately, that is much more of a ho-hum kind of cave right there.
Yeah, how often is Hype Cave actually hype recently, though?
Only when it's my last location.
Yeah. That's one of those things. It never has anything unless you decide to ignore it. Then it definitely has everything you needed.
Oh, of course. And then it looked like Swamp and Pod are our 5-6 crystals. So having Pod not be a pendant, it always feels kind of good, because that's another item dense location, which our runners might check. I had been mentioning Eastern a little bit earlier, but it looks like Sniper is going to be checking the Pyramid Ledge right now.
Especially with Mirror, it's nice to do those checks once you find Bow. If you find Bow, you go over, you can do both, you can full clear them, you don't have a problem. Without Bow, Eastern is a long walk if you have to go all the way back in with Bow later.
That is a good point. That's a good point.
Oh, open pit. 7 crystals. Okay, we have our goal. We got an open pit, don't have to do GT, still have to get 7 crystals.
And there is that flute that Radical Sniper is about to pick up. So now Village of Outcasts looks pretty nice. Turn in the flute and do that.
Oh yeah, definitely. Considering he hasn't checked that area, that's a great place to go now. High density, get your flute activated. The flute does give us access to the Myers side as well eventually once we find mids. Yeah. So it is important to note that we have 7 crystals to defeat Ganon, but we don't know how many crystals it is to get into GT. That number can be as low as 3. It can be no lower. There is a 0% for 0 through 2.
And as another observation, we haven't found a sword yet.
Well, we know it's not vanilla. We know it's not assured. So there is a 10% chance to swordless and 45% chance to randomize. So we're looking at a 1 in 6-ish % that it is swordless.
Which that would certainly introduce some new problems for our runners. Radical turning in that and getting the red meringue.
Yeah, unfortunately, we really won't know if we're on swordless until the runners either find a sword or walk into a sword-required room.
That is true, because Skull Woods, the one bush will already be cut, I believe. Is that correct?
Aga, which we won't be seeing, would have the same effect, but we'll also see it at, say, the entrance to Ice Palace. Inside, there will be a Bombos tile.
Oh, that is true. With having that fast Ganon, it is not all dungeons, so we're just looking for the crystals at this point.
GFE goes in, finds out, okay, it is 7 crystal fast. Decides to... You know what? That was kind of interesting. On swordless, does hammer allow you into Aga?
That I'm not sure, but if that that makes that a moot point. Radical picks up a sword.
Oh, but you know, we are getting confirmation from chat. That's what GFE did. GFE mirrored to see if he could get into GT with a hammer to find out if he was on swordless or not. So because it bounced him back, he knew he wasn't on swordless. And for us, yes, Radical decided to go and just find a sword and make that entire thing moot. But that's definitely a good strategy. You get a pyramid, you have mirror, you have hammer. Why not go check, see if you're on swordless?
It definitely gives you that information. And GFE looks like we'll be checking out the front of Escape at this point. Radical continuing through the Village of Outcasts.
Ice Palace is a crystal, getting a little bit more information there. So we will be seeing that. The runner's probably hoping that they find a King of Samaria somewhere, just to make that a little bit easier. There are a lot of thieves in Thieves Town, which, you know, if you think about it, why weren't there more in the first place?
That's a good point. That's a very good point.
The game, our randomizer is just fixing things. Yeah, that's actually a good point too. Looks like we don't have key rando. Oh, sword again.
And Radical will not have to seek out a Master Sword to defeat Ganon. That's always kind of that feels a little bit better.
Definitely. Now the big thing to watch is on Radical's side. If I was gonna say okay, there's the fairy. We're okay. If he finds the big key over here, we will find out if we have a big key shuffle or not.
But it sounds like Radical did get the big key though.
Got the big key. Yeah, I must have looked over at GFE's side as well. Thank you to our tracker, Arteril, who's keeping us informed.
And the mini boss in Hyrule Castle being significantly weakened right there, but
there are a lot of thieves this game.
Oh, you're right, because in the water, Thieves Town.
Yeah, we had some in Hyrule Castle just there. Like, wow, there are thieves. I believe there was one just outside Kakariko Village as well in the Light World. Like, the thieves are everywhere this game. Radical doing a boss shuffle check. No boss.
And GFE trying to do the doing dark rooms in Randomizer. That is definitely bold. Radical Sniper stunning. There we go.
I'm really watching this GFE screen. Really hoping he finds his way to this chest.
I think, yeah, he does have a fairy. He still does have that fairy, so if he does take a death, it's not, he won't lose his progress at least. Not that it would feel any better to have to use that fairy so early.
I think he's a little too far to the left. Anyways, more thieves upstairs in Thieves Town on Radical side. The side we can see. Ah, there. All that work on GFE side. And all he gets is a piece of heart. That feels so bad. You successfully pull off Dark Cross with Randomizer with half of a heart left, and you get a piece of heart.
Oh, that doesn't feel good.
No, that's unfortunate. So, I guess recapping a few things we found out recently, we got no key shuffle, we have no boss shuffle, we do have Randomizer, we do have compasses or maps, and I believe compasses are shuffled as well, right? And I think that's it.
I don't recall seeing any compasses yet. In the overworld, at least.
I thought we did. I'm sure chat will let us know. But this is a relatively standard seed so far. It's just a Randomizer.
All right, and thank you, chat. That compass of pod. Okay.
Yeah. So yes, so it's just map, compass, shuffle, Randomizer, 7 crystal fast. That's relatively plain for a mystery seed, actually, when you think about it.
But the blind store is Curtain's death. Curtain death.
So Radical on the scripted fight so far, so anyone who's new. Blind does the exact same thing the first time you enter his room in every single seed. So if you know what you're doing, it looks like what Radical just did, and you don't get hit because you know where to stand.
And GFE going through the dark again to rescue the old man. It did look like possibly some Lionels though in the dark as well, judging by those fire patterns. So that may be interesting, but getting through just fine.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's normally a pretty easy dark room. Even with Randomizer, it can be not bad, but wow. The problem with that particular dark room is that when it does get nasty, and for example has a Lionel or a few Lionels in it, if you die after you pick up the old man, your respawn point is set to old man, so you're not leaving that cave until you finish it.
Oh goodness! Oh goodness!
So that's a bit of a gamble. You get stuck there. You could be an old man for 10 minutes trying to figure out how to get past 2 or 3 Lionels in that room.
Oh, that is a good point, though. You can continue without saving.
Ah, yeah, so you can save. Okay, so you can save and continue without saving, and then you're fine. Okay.
Oh, and Radical Sniper getting bumped by the anti-fairy into the pit.
We are getting some Skull Woods checks over on Radical side.
And GFE grabbing those Titan's mitts.
Ooh. That'll help.
There. Okay, and hints appear to be off. But it does look like GFE does now have access to now has access to Meyer and to be able to pick up the lamp if they so choose.
I don't think hints can be on. No hints. Yeah, there are no hints in this particular mystery setting. I couldn't find it for a while, so that could just be GFE could just be used to different mystery settings as well. There's a few different sets, so depending on which one you're used to, you may check that.
Okay. And GFE will be continuing on into the Dark World and possibly going for Hera at this point.
Radical finds another Lionel. Like, this game is Lionels and thieves. Like, oh! Radical taking a hit where he wasn't expecting one.
Oh no, and that will be a bit of a backtrack, unfortunately. GFE. And there's our second shield that we've seen so far on GFE's side as he starts going through the Tower of Hera.
And yet, no one has a shield. Now, no hook shot, so no Hera pot today for GFE. Decides not to proceed with the dungeon.
And it looked like, considering it looked like the big key was going to be in the basement, and already knowing what one of the items would be, I can see that play. And we do learn that that will be the green pendant.
That, see, there's the other question. Now there's 2 items up there. That makes the decision a little harder. Oh, it's also Firelock. Yeah, so GFE can't do it.
That is very valid. So at that point, he can complete it after going and getting that lamp, but that's a bit of a trip to get back there.
Yeah, going up, maybe when he gets hook shot, he might come up as well, because if he's going to be another Lionel and Beamos, we've seen a few Beamos as well. Oh yeah, just a reminder too, because the maps and compasses are shuffled, there's a lot of items in there. I think GFE may come back up there once he finds Hookshot, because he'll go back to do Hookshot Cave and can loop in Tower of Hera at the same time. Even without a fire source, it would only technically lock the big chest.
That is a good point. And GFE giving us our first check into Paradox Cave. At the same time, Radical Sniper opening up pod and seeing if there's potentially a bow in there.
That block deletion, I think, was the first actual minor glitch we've seen all seed, which is weird. Just thinking. It's been a relatively straightforward run.
Yeah, we didn't have to fake flipper when we got the flipper so early, and that is a fun top of, or is it top of Paradox Cave or is it the bottom of Paradox Cave?
I can never remember because this cave doesn't make any sense. Hence the name. Every time I try to guess, I guess it wrong. Like, I think this is top, which I think means it's bottom.
And that's true. It is the top because you go up the stairs. That's a good point. You do go up the stairs to get to it. All right, and then right afterwards, GFE, because he left that mirror there, is able to immediately go into Super Bunny Cave and at least get one of the checks in Hookshot Cave as well.
So I just gotta go back to that one for a second. Yeah, see, I always think it's top because you go up the stairs, but when you go at it from outside, no, that's still right. Oh no, wait, when you go at it from outside, that's the lower cave. Right? Or am I backwards in my... Anyways.
It's a paradox.
That cave's just confusing.
And GFE is going to check what the entrance requirement is for Turtle Rock.
Yeah, Yeah. That second room where you go up the stairs, but it's the lower cave from the outside.
It did look like Ether Medallion was required to get into Turtle Rock, and it's only 6 crystals to get into GT today.
Oh, so hold on. What could we have in there? If what could be really bad? Hook shot? So far?
That would be a nasty find.
Yeah,
And
GFE abusing this fairy that he knows he has to get an early spike cave trick. Oh, we got a dark room on Radical side. I think we're in Eastern though. Nope.
we are in Pod. Doing the U-shaped room.
Pod. That's a pretty good dark room, even in Randomizer, because there's no real enemies to get hit. There's just the 2 anti-fairies that get replaced. Oh, Bombos.
All right, and no matter what, Radical Sniper will be able to open. He doesn't know it yet, but he will be able to open Turtle Rock and definitely be able to open Mire, no matter what Mire is. And that's a good find. Bombos is required for Mire access.
So we do have a comment in chat. So for the record, if this happens, not my fault. I didn't bring it up. But we could actually, for now, have a bow in GT.
That would be, well, that would be nasty.
That's what I said. It was chat, not me. This isn't the comms calling this. Or the runners may yell at me afterwards.
Oh, but
fire rod.
There we go. There's additional fire access. Both of our fire sources being in the desert. And Radical will be. There are thieves in Eastern as well.
So, Sorcerer, you're telling me there's hot things in the desert?
I think that's what I'm saying. You think they would cool down with these desert puns, but
thieves. Just every dungeon we walk into a thief. What is this? Ooh, boots locked. Desert is boots locked. There's a small. Well, it could be. Hold on. No. Well, it could be completable, but the right side is boots locked. Ah, so it's completable. There will just be 2 items locked on the right side.
And Radical picks up that hook shot. That is a very welcome find. That Eastern gamble paying off. It's not the bow, but that is definitely very useful.
So, I don't think Radical's gone up to do Tower of Hera yet.
That is correct. It's just been GFE so far going up there.
So when Radical goes up, he will be able to complete Hera except the 1 chest. And he will be able to do Hookshot Cave.
And that's a much nicer BMOS replacement right there.
Almost anything is a nice BMOS replacement unless it becomes something like a Lionel. Or a Gibdo, speaking of.
That is not a fun item you want to, fun enemy you want to see in the defeat all the enemies in this room kind of room.
No, Gibdos are one of my least favorite enemies in the game. Hence why Skull Woods is extremely annoying.
Skull Woods is, for me, one of those areas that just I can practice it all I like, and between the Gibdos and the fire, the required fire rooms to light up the torches in the back.
Sorry, I just, for a second, need to comment. We're in another dark room on Radical side.
Oh my goodness, neither of our runners are Oh, and GFE is opting. Oh, okay. GFE is looking at just getting a little bit more magic before the Lenmo fight.
I get that. He's still swordless, though Radical Sniper's on Tempered Sword.
My goodness, I actually missed where that tempered sword had been. But I'm guessing
I missed that as well,
Eastern.
but wow, like, but both of these runners are saying, you know what, forget Randomizer, I'm rooms anyways.
And with that, GFE makes short work of Landmolus, and that is crystal number one. Crystal number one.
And this is actually a good, with what Radical is doing, this is a good time to discuss this. Now, normally, Eastern Palace is bow locked. The Randomizer is going to get rid of the bow required enemies because none of the kill all rooms will have bow required enemies or any other item required enemies for that matter. But I believe the boss is still logically locked. Now, in this case, it probably benefits him just to get it out of the way. But apart from that,
and that was a good, and that's also a good point in chat. We knew, and Radical knew that it was not boss shuffle. GFE did not necessarily know, though. Quite yet. He didn't know about the boss shuffle.
Oh. That is true.
Also, this looks like an absolutely nasty Eastern room.
With most bosses, it probably wasn't bad to get a little more magic, though. Just in case.
That's a good point. And
the only
GFE
things
dipping into ice.
That's without Samaria. That is. Oh, he's already gone up. He's gone up the mountain, so yeah, I can see this. He can finish this dungeon. It is a crystal. So going the completable route versus going a little bit more on like density with checking pod and that area. But oh, GFE's room. Those enemies suck in that room. I'm sorry. Like they just disappear on you constantly.
And Radical's trying to take down the Armos Knights with sword slashes and hoping that the bee in the jar can do some damage, but this is not a fun fight to do with just a sword.
Yeah, well, at least he did find that tempered sword that we both missed instead of being on Master, because this is so much worse on Master Sword. There's a weird little kind of fact with Armos Knights is that Master Sword actually does less damage than it's supposed to on Armos Knights.
Ooh, that's less than ideal right there. Also, a Wall Master in Ice, that will be fortunately GFE avoiding it, but that's one of the other enemies that can be shuffled in as well.
That's always great to see when someone's doing Icebreaker and manages to accidentally get themselves caught.
But Radical does pick up that blue pendant successfully from Eastern, so be going, looks like back to Link's house and over to the Dark World from there. Probably a swamp play at this point. It's got the hook shot, so, and it's a very item dense location.
Yeah, it's definitely good. GFE doing a glitch. We don't see it quite as much as we used to. The Ice Palace Bomb Jump.
And doing it first try to perfection. Radical is definitely going into swamp at this point.
Now, I do have to actually comment on something that's now been said in chat. We know that the Armos Knights are appended, which means the bow could actually be in GT, like was mentioned by another viewer earlier. The only other dungeon it's required for is pod, and we only need 6 crystals to get into GT.
That is a good point.
That would be really rude. So for the runner's sake, let's hope that doesn't happen. Oh, it was the same viewer. Okay. Sorry, I'm not really tracking the names. But yeah, speaking of chat, we are reading it. If you have any predictions or want to talk about anything, please do get involved with the seed with us. The goal is 7 crystal fast, and GT is 6 crystals. For anyone who's joining us.
And it is an MC. It is just maps and compasses that are shuffled tonight. Big and small keys are in their vanilla dungeons.
And GFE is doing his heart best to make this a swordless seed.
I'm wondering what's going through GFE's mind right now, not having found a sword yet.
And he knows it's not swordless because he did that hammer check at Aga. He knows there's swords somewhere. But there are 2 swords in Village of Outcasts. Aren't there? Did Radical get 1 in Thievestown and 1 in the village? GFE hasn't been to the Village of Outcasts yet?
Right, and as our trackers reminding us, in the chest game, and then 1 in Thieves, and then the 1 in Eastern so far.
That's... And no, to answer your question in chat, GFE did a really kind of cool strat. When he went to the pyramid, he mirrored and attempted to use his hammer on the laser in front of Aga. And because he got bounced off, GFE knows that this is not swordless. He knows there are swords somewhere. He's just not finding them.
And GFE doing a much easier bomb jump than the earlier one.
Yeah, that's an understatement. That's the easiest bomb jump in the game right there. Versus one of the harder ones for this type of race. But yeah, I'm now that I think about it, I'm surprised GFE has not gone to Village of Outcasts yet.
That's a good point. That's a good point between, yeah, because that's still a pretty dense location, and at the very least, there are a lot of surrounding items. In addition to having those Titan Smiths, you can do the Smith Chain as well, but being able to complete dungeons is that does get you to the goal much quicker.
Sure.
And just remember, he does also have red mail, so even though Cold Stare is not a fun fight with Hammer, it could be worse.
Oh yeah, I would much rather have the Tempered Sword. GFE, you do not have the fairy anymore. Okay, he has a proportion. Okay. You don't have the fairy anymore. Don't get down to half a heart here. Okay, easy kill. Book on that.
Oh, and there is that cane on Radical's side, and there's half magic for GFE, along with that crystal.
That's such a rude place to put half magic. You know, as a runner, you finish Cold Stare with Hammer, with Fire Rod, and you don't have a sword, and you finish Cold Stare, this tough fight, and you get half magic. And the entire Cold Stare fight, you're thinking, this would be so much easier if I had half magic.
At least Radical Sniper, after doing the left side of Swamp, which that was a good call to check out the left side instead of just zooming through, because now Radical can use the Diver Down trick in this next room. And now GFE looks like we'll be going to the Village of Outcasts.
There is a bomb diver down as well, if Radical knows it. But, going with it. Any fairies.
Oh no.
Yeah, any fairies. Now, I was casting a race where there was one anti-fairy in this room. It was a 4-person race, and not a single runner was able to defeat those anti-fairies and dive her down.
Oh, and GFE does finally pick up that first sword. So
yeah,
Gotta
And
be.
Radical going, yeah, this anti-fairy. I honestly think that's one of the hardest places to get an anti-fairy. That just, it messes your diver down up so much. It's that left one. But yeah, can you imagine what GFE is thinking? How do you feel as a runner? You're 44 minutes in. You got Dark World access at, what, 15 minutes? We didn't quite mark it.
Just about. Well, and then getting
right now,
swords.
You go in and you find out you've had access to 2 swords for the last 20 minutes, 25 minutes. How do you feel?
Oh, that does not feel good. That does not feel good. Better now than a little bit later, but that does not feel good.
So our tracker, Arturo, letting us know they had Moon Pearl at 10 minutes. So GFE has had access to both those swords for over a half hour and knows it. It feels bad. Thankfully, he has had the hammer the entire time. Without the hammer, that would feel a lot worse.
And there's the bow in the back of Swamp that Radical just picks up.
Oh, a bow. That's helpful.
That would have been helpful 1 or 2 dungeons ago.
Yeah, he's the one that actually did all the bow locked areas.
Better late than never, and it still gives you a path towards silver. It's not that I'm sure that our runners would not necessarily they don't necessarily need silvers, but
with the tempered sword on Radical side, he's almost definitely comfortable with it. GFE's probably could do it with Master Sword, but is definitely hoping not to. No matter how comfortable you are with Master Sword Silverless, you don't want to do it.
Oh, absolutely not.
Yeah, so there are some of our viewers are discussing in chat the what could be in GT that could potentially still lock our runners.
And Radical does get the mushroom and does defeat Argus for that second crystal.
2, 3, 4. So we know where 5 crystals are. So there is a 33% chance that Total Rock is a crystal, which is the only potential required item that we would still be looking for in the Ice Rod. Or a path to the Ice Rod. There are things like we could be looking for the boots because the Ice Rod could be on the Brightside Desert or Shovel or anything like that. But or Cape, but on Bumper Ledge, but there it is. Radical doing me a favor and reminding me of another item that could be required. Nothing on Radical's side. Walks in, gets halfway, sees a red ruby, says, nah.
At this point, and yeah, already has Zora money, already paid Kiki for pod access, so yeah, not exactly in a hunt for any money. But is about to go do that dig game, so what do we think we'll see on the dig game?
This feels so late for a dig game. It's only 47 minutes in. It just feels super long. I'm gonna say nothing important. Something like a piece of hard money.
I'll guess boots. Or.
Well, hold on. We're gonna extend the guesses we just made, and we're gonna extend them to Shovel Spot. But let's get Chat into this. Chat, what is on Shovel Spot? Give us your guesses.
Oh my goodness! Oh my goodness! That was perfect.
That's not what we were thinking. Skullwoods is a crystal. 4, 6. Wait, that's 6. 2, 4, 6. Never mind. Yeah. So we'll see. So we got some things. We got some guesses in chat. We got book. We've got. It can't be Titan's Mitts. We found Titan's Mitts. It's the swag net, the bug net. Oh, we have a prediction for viewer channel points Turtle Rock is a pendant versus a crystal. Get your guesses in there. Sorcerer, do you want to take a guess at this? It's a 50-50 shot.
It is. I will. Ooh.
Book?
There's some literacy in the witch's hut. I will guess that it is a pendant, and it will have a required item.
Well, that's great, because I'm Team Crystal. I want to see us looking for that ice rod from a viewer perspective. But yeah. So yeah, no, one of the guesses mitts. GFE does have the mitts, but yeah, at this point, the only things we could really be looking for is the last sword. We have all the male upgrades, so the last sword, boots, and silvers, and the ice rod.
Right, and the ice rod, and yeah.
Yeah, that's. We have a good point coming from Drossi in chat. You said pendant with a required item. Are you going to say the boots are required because the big key to GT is going to be on the torch?
I'm not saying no.
Because the question was, what required item could be in Turtle Rock? The only one I can think of is it can be boots. Boots could be required for a key on torch in GT.
Let's see. Well, and
oh yes, it's fast cannon. I take that back.
That is true. That is true. And they can open up GT a little bit quicker, but yeah, we're all used to the defeat Ganon goals. Exactly.
Well, I was looking for a way to make your prediction possible. And
I appreciate the effort.
I was hoping to find a way to make your prediction something that could happen, but I think your prediction's out there now, because that's actually not possible already.
One of these days, well, and and maybe it's more because it feels like, you know, every time Turtle Rock is a pendant, every time Pod is a pendant, it has a required item.
Yeah, GFE, they're getting caught by the Wall Master. Still no Wall Master in that room.
And that anti-fairy does make things a little bit more problematic.
Yeah, GFE really having problems more with the anti-fairy than anything else. But there it is. We're good.
I wonder if our racers will find powder at some point, which that would be a nice welcome. Probably at this point, with all the anti-fairies that we've seen so far, that might be a little bit more welcome than in other seeds.
Yeah. I got a comment that Radical now has picked up his mitts. So both our runners are now on mitts. Our items are getting kind of close to each other. They're taking turns now checking things the others have already checked. These Skull Woods, oh, that's a place for a trap on GFE side.
Oh my goodness.
Of course, the Randomizer loves taking really small paths. That's not that small of a path, but taking small paths and putting traps on them. And unfortunately, GFE is not the runner with Kate.
But GFE will go ahead and take that Death Warp and get back a couple hearts at least. Meanwhile, the tablet over on Radical's side, just a little bit of money.
That was nice. GFE convincing the trap to go to the right so that it would move and pause for a second, walk right past it. It was very clean. Radical in Tower of Hera, not doing Herapod. Knows it's a green pendant. Still, and 2 items up there, but decides not to do it. I'm kind of surprised there.
All right, and while our racers make sure to also follow our racers GFE 12 and Radical Sniper 99, who have graciously allowed to be restreamed. Fantastic racers, the two of them, and please give them a follow.
That was a very fast Mothula kill on GFE's side.
I'm sorry, I blinked. What happened?
Yeah, you started giving that runner prom announcement when he walked into the boss fight. He was done before you finished. that was very fast. Quick is what I was looking for. I think I switched between quick and fast. Quick.
Very quickly,
Anyways.
fast.
Yeah. That's.
Oh, and I was just about to wonder if GFE will be giving Ped check, which I don't think. I think at this point Ped is. I'm not sure what could be on Ped at this point.
Ice Rod.
Yeah, fair.
We're basically
Well,
in
depending
potential
on
of do we
Turtle
need
Rock.
Ice Rod. This is the big question. Both dungeons we don't know are the medallion locked ones. GV is still missing Bombo's medallion. Will not be able to get into Mire.
Radical is giving us our first look into Hookshot Cave, though, because this was GFE did not have the hookshot by this point.
You know, actually, now that it... Ooh, silvers.
Sorry, you were saying?
Radical just found silvers.
That's a nice find.
Yeah, see, now it just hit me that we could have something extremely dumb. Like Ice Rod locked behind the boots in Desert, and, like, the boots being in something like Validation Chest.
Ooh, that would be...
That could be something. Let's hope they don't have to climb all of GT for a required item. With 7 crystal fast Ganon, that would be a great way for the seed to really confuse our runners. You still have to do all of GT anyways.
At least they can do it a little bit earlier than they otherwise would.
Yeah, but I mean, you're not climbing GT looking for the last item until you absolutely have to.
Right, and GFE also picking up that shovel from the Shovel Dig game.
Yeah, actually, that's not possible because Desert requires the boots.
It does look like GFE will be doing be doing the Smith Chain.
GFE needs to go to Eastern and pick up his hookshot
quickly. Well, between that and the Tempered Sword. Ooh.
Where was the other bow?
The
Hookshot Cave, and where was the first bow Radical picked up?
Was it Pod? Swamp Palace. Swamp Palace. That's right, on the left side.
So we gotta pause first. GFE decides not to finish those, but we do have to say hi. We got a party coming in from Speed Gaming 3. So this is a link to the past randomizer daily race with mystery weights. We have Enemizer today, maps shuffled, compasses shuffled, and Enemizer. 7 crystals to defeat Ganon, and it is a fast Ganon.
Alright, and GFE will go ahead and try those hammer pegs again. Maybe the chain chomp had gotten a little bit close. That is not... Oh, and the rollers. Okay, so this is a rough... That's rough.
Yeah, the roller, the roller you can kind of deal with because you can time it, but that chain chomp is not in a good place.
But
there it is.
But getting it done.
Radical is entering ice. He's gonna have a significantly easier time of. You know what? I said he's gonna have a significantly easier time because he has Cane of Samaria, but he doesn't have Fire Rod yet.
That is true. Now it really only affects this first one and the cold stare fight. Well, and I suppose the
freezer chest.
Yeah, the freezer chest. That's true as well.
It is still easier, but I realized somehow he's missed the Fire Rod. GFE's missed the hook shot in Eastern. Our runners are actually have some really high variance in what they've been checking. These routes have been completely different, and yet they're basically looking for the same things.
Right, and basically when GFE gets over to Eastern, when Radical gets over to Desert, that will make them both feel a little bit better.
Yeah, I kind of want to know what our last crystal is. We are at... No, never mind. I was going to talk about dark rooms, but we know where the lamp is because not only did we see it, GFE already has it.
After having completed, although GFE will have a much easier time of Eastern at least, or of Eastern and Pod, especially for Randomizers.
Yep. Radical having a little bit of issue setting up this, There, nope, thought he had it. So, there is a glitch here that does allow our runners to walk through this wall. There it is. So this is what you could not see GFE do earlier because it does require the Cane of Samaria.
And GFE opting, it looks like, to go to Swamp at this point. Yeah, looking to pick up, but will not be able to complete Swamp without that hook shot.
Needs to go to Eastern. You know what? I'm just the entire time I'm surprised with GFE. The late Village of Oak. It's working for him. He's playing really well. So this isn't any negative thing. It's just there was the very late Village of Outcast. There's a lot of checks in Eastern and Pod, and while there's a few that are out of logic because no bow, he has the lamp.
And yeah, so the bows were on left side Swamp, and then also in Hookshot Cave. So I suppose can still get the left side. Actually, can still do the left side Swamp.
This could actually be good. If GFE checks left side Swamp, he's going to get a bow, and he may read that into go check Pod. And if he does Pod, he could do Eastern, and he can get this hook shot.
And oh, you were absolutely right. It was not on the left side. It was right. It was the Cane of Samaria on the left side. It was it was the other important item, and then the bow was in the back. So that's right.
Oh,
Both bows are hook shot.
Oh, then that's not going to work. GFE really. So the bow in the back of Swamp is hook shot locked, and the bow in Hookshot Cave is hook shot locked, and the hook shot is in Eastern Palace, which is generally a bow locked dungeon.
I mean, and GFE. I mean, at this point, GFE will probably end up having to kind of finally get towards that area, just from the virtue of starting to run low on checks.
Yeah, that positioning though on the game's part is not very nice. Both bows are hookshot locked with hookshot in Eastern.
That definitely makes things a little bit rougher.
That's gonna feel really bad for GFE when he eventually gets over there.
I am glad that GFE is checking the left side though, getting that Cane of Samaria to make Misery Mire. If Mire is a crystal, that will be required.
Yeah, but
if Turtle Rock is, then Cane is required anyway. So either way.
Oh yeah, it is a required item with both dungeons. Yep. Theoretically, it could also be required to get to the right side of GT. Assuming the ice rod's over there. And Turtle Rock is a crystal. There's a lot of ifs with this particular game. Until we find out what the last crystal is, there's going to be some question.
That is the fun, though, of Randomizer. And Radical on the Cold Stare fight, and gets it with just 2 hearts remaining. But we'll pick up that half magic, that kind of trolly half magic.
Yeah, though Radical did this with a Tempered Sword, and the hammer does the same damage that the Tempered Sword does, except the Tempered Sword's hitbox is infinitely times better.
Oh, okay, and GFE and chat saying that GFE did do the map check before entering Swamp, and Turtle Rock is the last crystal.
Oh, so great. Okay, Ice Rod Hunt. So, I guess one more thing for some chat participation. Let us know where you think this Ice Rod's going to be. It's not like we've seen Ice Rod hunts before on ALTTPR races, right, Sorcerer?
Of course not, of course. You know, the Ice Rod is always either in the most convenient place, or like the first item, or one of the first items, or it's just buried. Radical is going to be checking Zora, though, so this is the first Zora check that we're getting from our racers.
Can you imagine if that's Ice Rod?
Oh, at that point, Radical would absolutely just need to go to the desert area, because at that point, that's fire sources, and the lag on Radical's screen, just with all the enemies on the. Just all the enemies, that made things a little bit more interesting.
So we haven't really gotten too many guesses from chat. Chat, where do you think that Ice Rod is? But
oh, and we still do have Graveyard Ledge, and we don't have the boots yet, so we can't do King's Tomb. Radical is starting to go towards that desert area, though, so Radical will be picking up some fire sources.
Oh, we have some mean guesses in chat. So we've got one for it to be on Pet. We've got one for it to be on GT. Another one going for Turtle Rock. These are some great guesses. Keep them coming, viewers. We will be keeping an eye on that. Saha, yeah, green pendant. Nobody went and actually got the green pendant, I say, as GFE is going into the dungeon with green pendant. He refuses to go over to pod.
He does have that fire source at least, so, and this being his second dip into. Oh, and there's Radical getting that fire rod at least.
Yeah, that's important. That basically puts Radical in Ice Rod go mode. Just needs to find Ice Rod.
It really does. We'll see where it is.
I mean, a fourth sword is always nice, but there's a very small difference in damage between the third and fourth swords. The fourth sword's spin does not do any additional damage, so the spin of the tempered is the same damage as the gold sword.
And Radical having the silver arrows will also be able to at least do phase 4 a little quicker.
So we do have a prediction going in chat as well. You can use some viewer channel points to predict, will the Ice Rod be in GT/PED or somewhere else? So do you want it to be in one of the worst locations for the runners, or do you want it somewhere a little nicer? Surprisingly, a little nicer and somewhere else is trending with 75% more points.
And we are getting some new item locations now from both runners as well, so we'll be able to at least see if it is a nicer location.
Since when is chat nice to our runners? This feels new. Okay, so GFE, gonna find out what's in the big chest here. Nope.
And it's just a money refill.
Money is not helpful at this point.
Right. At this, I mean, he still needs to pay Kiki for pod access, because still needs to go towards Eastern. but otherwise, going up to Moldorm, Trolldorm, having many more eyes than usual, it looks like. But Trolldorm being just as trolly. 8 eyes, 7 eyes, or 2 eyes. Still good old Trolldorm.
One just looks creepy to me. We got, what is that, 6? Stop moving, 6. Trolldorm is trolling me by moving, so I can't count his eyes. There we go, that's a pretty fast kill. It's really not that difficult with Master Sword. Unless you get knocked off, which even the best runners once in a while take a hit.
Yeah, and picking up that green pendant, so that will also lead him towards that area of the map.
Now, I'm not sure if you saw that, but Radical just finished Lanmolas in the time that you said that sentence. So Silver Arrows, 1 hit each, did it 1 round, done. Moving on.
We've definitely had a good number of very quick boss fights between possibly making up for the Armos Knight swords, which was very well executed.
Yeah, so speaking of the runners, great execution on these boss fights. Do remember to, if you like what you're seeing, do give the runners a follow. It does really help them and support them. Their links are in chat. In the meantime, we got runners going, 1 runner going into Mire, 1 runner going into Turtle Rock. This is going to be interesting. Wow. This could be it. Like, this could be the game deciding. No, GFE is still missing items.
Still missing items, but can still get the ice rod at least, which is a required item. So, and you can go through all of Turtle Rock trying to search for it.
I don't know. GFE is doing ice rodless Turtle Rock before doing bowless Pod and Eastern.
Oh, and actually, as another point, not having that hook shot means that the next 2 checks that GFE will be checking will be a little slower than it would be if he had the hook shot.
Yeah, I'm surprised GFE is coming up here. I'm sure he has a good reason because he's a better runner than I am, but I'm just surprised.
And he does remember to go the correct direction. Fortunately, when you don't have the hook shot, you do need to go south instead of north to light the torches, or else as you take your trip around, the torches will burn out.
This room is so much nicer, an Randomizer.
It really is. I suppose the only way it could be worse is if they were Lionels.
Yeah,
like the Radical is currently facing.
Yeah, speaking of Lionels in rooms, but the other room, there's a few nicer rooms in Turtle Rock. Chain Chomp is going to be another one. Without the 2 Chain Chomps in Chain Chomp room, it is a lot easier to get through.
That is a good point.
This room, like, wow, look, there's no enemies in here, basically.
That makes things a little nicer.
GFE finally gets to 10 hearts.
Oh, that is a lousy place for a Lionel. And the game finally saying, no, Radical, you must have a shield.
There's the third shield, and the first one that got picked up.
I suspect that will be the only shield that we will see.
So Radical has a pretty good advantage right now in that he's really only looking for one item. Did he not? I'm interested to know why he did this dip before Skull Woods.
I'm wondering if because it's still 4 items, and I'm trying to remember if he knows that this is just a pendant. I think so, but it's still a good number of items. If it is a ped required, we still don't know if ped's required. Okay, he does not yet know that it is a pendant.
But he does know that Skull Woods is a crystal.
Oh, okay, and if he already did the front of Skull Woods as well, then yeah, that's a good.
Still, like, it's one of those. I think if you know it's a crystal, it's one of the things you can just kind of go and do.
Oh, this is an interesting arrangement, and it looks like this is one of the changes in Randomizer, where most of those that guards in the Mimic Cave, most of those rails go away to make it possible to access beyond there.
So far, Radical has not found anything important in Meyer, which unfortunately isn't going to really help him. But GFE finds the last sword.
And with that, we do now know where all 4 swords are, and GFE may be on butter.
Radical will definitely get butter. I believe the last sword that GFE does not have is an Eastern. So it really depends on how far into Eastern he feels like going when he eventually gets there. He could potentially just be in hookshot mode at that point.
Oh, and that is a lousy place to have a roller. Oh, those
There's
are
another
lousy
one.
rollers. Oh my goodness. That does not feel good.
Yeah, just to confirm, the reason I'm saying with hookshot is I know hookshot is early in EP. I believe the sword is behind the hookshot, like farther into the dungeon. If I remember correctly. Oh wow, that trap on GFE side.
Oh geez, oh my goodness. And let's see what Laser Bridge has for us.
Oh. So I had it reversed. The sword is the first chest, so both our runners will be getting. Oh
and
God!
There's that ice rod. Oh my goodness.
That's the end of that prediction. It was not in GT. It was not on PED, but it was in probably the next worst place.
Oh my goodness. And Radical, and in the time that we said that, Radical did defeat Vitreous. And those are the boots. What are those?
Oh. Well, we know those aren't required. Logically required, but not actually required.
But that is this has been one heck of a seed so far.
So just kind of to note for the people that are looking and tracking this, that means that our runners were actually supposed to go finish Meyer, which is a pendant Meyer, which had no other required items than the boots, just to get the boots, just to do desert in logic. Otherwise, that entire dungeon was not necessary. This game has not been quite nice to our runners.
And
to our
sorry, and GFE does get that Sanctuary Heart, which will refill his hearts. Unfortunately, he would also now be getting the heart refill for defeating a boss.
I was just going to congratulate our 3 viewers who participated in the channel viewing points betting that did win from that bet.
Oh, and this can actually make things a little bit tougher for Radical because with those boots, that does open up a couple more checks that we know is not where the ice rod is.
Yeah, Radical, just actually go finish Pod. Go do Skullwoods. Like, I can see Skullwoods here because Radical's in the area, right? Just from this point, just go over and do Skullwoods. Get it out of the way.
Sure. And maybe GFE is, I guess, going to be checking Graveyard Ledge and I don't think we saw what was potentially up on Bumper Ledge, but it looks like it's both of our runners. Oh, okay.
It was Rupees.
Oh, okay.
I missed it too. I believe our tracker pointed it out earlier because I was asking about it.
Okay, and Radical checking out what was on Lumberjack Ledge this entire time, and the good news is Aga is not required.
We knew that already, but he didn't.
Well, and especially at this point, if you're just looking for that ice rod, and you still have checked a good portion of the world, you still have many more places to check.
Yeah, so Radical needs to go into Turtle Rock, and GFE needs to go into Eastern.
And if GFE is checking Catfish, that's probably a good sign that afterwards GFE will just be going south and going into the Pod Eastern area.
Yeah, that would definitely be another Lionel. That would be a good decision for GFE. There's a Lionel on the water over there. I missed that.
Oh my goodness.
Lionels and thieves today, just everywhere.
Thieves in Thieves Town, what a concept.
Yeah. Still confused why there aren't thieves in Thieves Town in the first place, but that's beside the point. Yeah, speaking of thieves, Radical getting hit by one.
Well, and especially considering it's not only thematic, but especially when it's underneath the now granted thieves don't do any damage, but they'll still knock you back and they'll still cause chaos as your items go flying around, as you get a little bit of lag. Just from items flying around, honestly, that might be worth the pain of having thieves in Thieves Town.
So I like this play from Radical, doing the crystal dungeon. He knows it's a crystal. He knows he can complete it. We're talking about this knowing where all the items are, but I'd like to see him go into Pod next, just because knowing that he can complete it, check, see if the... Oh, what? Radical side.
Yep, Radical...
I missed those, like, crabs the first time.
Oh.
His spikes look like crabs.
And it's also a don't blink you'll miss it kind of affair as well, as Radical defeats Mothula and grabs another crystal.
Mothula is one of those bosses where when you see good runners do it with good RNG, they just go through it immediately with no problems. And if you watch someone who's new to this game, or if you're just coming and going to be trying it, don't feel bad about that boss, because that boss can be very difficult.
Oh my goodness, that boss with fighter sword, without half magic, that can be a very trolly boss.
It is by far one of my least favorite bosses in the game.
And then especially if you don't know about the fire rod being able to do damage, or if you keep on trying to attack it into the spikes, which will negate the damage.
Yeah, so that's the other thing. If you hit Mothula into a spike, Mothula doesn't take damage over spikes.
And 1 hour, 23 minutes, 30 seconds in, we can confirm Ped is dead. With it just being a compass.
Didn't GFE check it after Skullwoods?
GFE doesn't have the book yet.
Oh, it doesn't have the book. Oh, yeah, okay. For some reason, he mirrored. Maybe it was just to Fluto.
Oh, yeah.
But, well, I mean, we kind of knew it was dead anyways, because we know where every other important item is.
Right. As Radical does try to find that ice rod, which that is not a fun item to try to have to go mode.
No, because the problem with the ice rod is it's literally anywhere except Trinex. There are no other requirements. Ooh, that's a place for a spike trap.
Oh my goodness.
There are no other requirements for the location. The ice rod can be anywhere else except Trinex.
And GFE is dipping pod. Will not be able to complete pod yet, though.
Radical needs to go to pod and then just go up to Turtle Rock.
Or I suppose GFE, actually, I guess GFE could complete it out of logic at this point.
This one actually still needs a bow no matter what, because of the statue.
Oh, you're absolutely right. Oh, so...
Eastern's completable out of logic, but pod will always require a bow no matter what mode you're in.
And then having to... Oh, and then having to dip... to be able to get that, and there's still a good number of checks in pod as well, at least. So.
Yeah, no, I definitely think this is a good play. There's a lot of checks in pod, and you have the items to do all but one of them. It takes a little bit of time to get back through this dungeon, but without key sanity, without having to worry about going through that main door. There's normally 5 checks in here with a map and compass shuffle. There's 7 checks in this dungeon. That's pretty high out of everything left. Swamp is higher, but needs the hook shut. Although I think GFE has already done the front.
Alright, and Radical is doing the Smith Chain as well, and is about to get the relatively bad news about how hammer pegs are going to be laid out.
Some comments in chat about our runners routing. Yeah, this play for Blacksmiths can make sense. He's trying to clear up some things that might not, that might be the ice rod without having to go all the way up to Turtle Rock without it. Once this is cleared, I do hope he goes over to pod just to clear the crystal. And then becomes a decision, where do you go? He really doesn't have all that much left. He could go to the top of Tower of Hera, but I'm still saying go Turtle Rock before that. What do you think, Sorcerer?
That is... That's gonna be tough. I would probably at this point check Hera. Hera's at least a relatively quicker dungeon to go through.
Here's the thing: if you do Turtle Rock first and it's not in there, you can save the portal outside, and then go do Hera.
That's a good point. That's a good point.
So if you do it that way, if it isn't Turtle Rock, you get it immediately, and if it's not in Turtle Rock, you save the portal and then you go do Hera.
Right, and it'll take a little bit of time to keep that portal. You'd have to go to the right side. You'd have to basically climb from the right side instead of from the left side. But that's not the worst thing in the world, especially to be able to save that portal and to save having to go through Turtle Rock again. And GFE does pick up that butter.
There's our first runner with a full 4 swords. A sword that we've had on Radical side for a very long time.
Yeah. And GFE's also going to be getting some good news about that hook shot. And there we go. So GFE is just a bow from Go mode, and it's going to be in required swamp. So, and it's going to be in swamp where he's already done the left side of swamp, so that'll be a much quicker kind of race to the back.
Yeah, I have a feeling GFE will not be getting silvers.
Yeah, at this point.
The 2 bows are, as you said, in swamp, and the other one's in Hookshot Cave. If GFE goes through and decides, well, I'm going to do the crystal dungeon that I haven't finished yet, which I think would be a good logical play here, gets the bow, you look at it and say, well, I'm in go mode unless I don't want to do silverless. And with gold sword, both of these runners are very capable of having a fast silverless Ganon fight.
Right. So,
the big question now is, when does Radical go to Turtle Rock? I feel GFE's path is relatively straight.
and here's hoping that it will be pretty soon overall. This area, by the way, is much nicer with that lamp. If you remember, Radical was doing this was doing Eastern and everything in the dark, which definitely did make things a little bit tougher. And let's see where GFE goes after this. Looks like is indeed going towards Swamp. So that is absolutely the ideal play to make there. Radical using Bombos to make short work of that turtle room, that normally turtle room.
Yeah. As I was saying, I like this play from GFE. This makes a lot of sense. A lot of runners will go for the dungeons crystal dungeons they can clear. Using the hammer will not get you into the light world, GFE. And we got Radical on the Helmasaur. Well, Radical done the Helmasaur fight.
Another don't blink you'll miss it kind of affair. But with that, Radical does pick up another crystal. Which does make 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So with that, Radical has access to GT.
I don't know. I don't expect Radical to go into GT at this point.
No, definitely would expect a Turtle Rock check first, especially since that's required to actually complete the seed. And so yeah, going towards progress. GFE though is about probably a minute away from being in go mode, but we'll get the bad news about the enemies down here.
Oh yeah. Well, we're gonna see a bomb diver down attempt here. Also, yep, as I said, it's the one on the left. The one on the right isn't that bad. Because I've seen this before. The one on the right isn't the problem. The one on the left is just constantly in the worst possible position. It is the hardest boss in A Link to the Past. That Andy Fairy. Now I'm joking, but
But joking, but no, it's still true.
yeah, just to be clear for any newer viewers that might not get that might not see that, or anyone not familiar with the game, but it is definitely a rough enemy right there. We did get a Pyramid Fairy check from Radical's side. I think the Pyramid Fairy gave him a B in the empty bottle, which is not helpful.
It could be it could be more helpful. And then on GFE side, just the sight of one of the guards just deciding to just go into the wall.
Those are some rollers on Radical's side.
Oh my goodness. But 1 hour, 34 minutes, 10 seconds, GFE is in go mode. And yes, the shroom does give the book.
Yeah, so this is what we were talking about a while ago, where Radical Sniper had an item lead, he was in a good position, but sometimes that doesn't really mean anything in Rando. Because it's about where that last item is and looking for it. This is why a lot of the times commentators and other volunteers are hesitant to say who's in the lead. But, okay, Radical, you're in the right place.
Yep. And with GFE picking up that crystal, that is crystal number 6. And it's just needs to finish out pod. And then Ganon will be vulnerable.
So here's the question. Does Radical go into Tower of Hera, or does he head over to Turtle Rock directly?
Or Spike Cave. That... Oh! Oh my goodness.
Yeah, of course. Yes. Cast commentator says something, runner goes the complete opposite direction. Great, thanks.
That's all right. And it's still... And the number of times that I've seen Ice Rod be in Spike Cave... anecdotally, this is not a bad play. It's just we know that that's not where it is.
Yeah, I agree. It's a good thing to check. You're up there. You don't really want that to be the location you go into after Turtle Rock. Yeah, we do have a...
All right, and it does look like Radical... Okay, and it does look like Radical will be going into Hera first before Turtle Rock, or they very well may just use this portal to get to the top of the mountain instead and head over to Turtle Rock. We'll see here in a second.
So yeah, that's what it is. There is a prediction in chat with channel points again. Well, how many extra Ganon warps in Phase 3? Is that extra Ganon warp? So in addition to the 4, I think. That's so get your point. If you got some channel points from viewing, do get your guesses in before that timer runs out. It's pretty short. Yeah.
All right, so, and with Radical, you know, you don't necessarily, depending on his time zone, may not want to take a coffee break at this hour. So is opting to do this room just by using items to take care of the tiles.
So Radical is doing what I guess you mentioned earlier, doing Tower of Hera first.
And unfortunately, is also... Oh, okay. It looks like Radical is looking to set up a Hera pot using speed.
Yeah, if you can get this within a few tries, then it's still faster than climbing the normal way.
And that was very well done.
The boots method is very fast to retry, as you saw. He tried it 3 times. That's still probably faster than doing it with bombs, unless you are very quick.
And GFE is... Oh no!
Radical! did the glitch to avoid doing this room and ended up in it anyways. Sometimes the game can do that. GFE on a boss fight.
Yep, taking down Helmasaur. And 2 swipes, and that is Helmasaur down. The king is down.
Radical waiting out the enemy in that time.
All right, and that is crystal number 7 for GFE. So GFE next will be going straight for Ganon. With that fast Ganon mode, the hole is already open. You will not need to touch Ganon's tower at all.
That's a nice comeback for GFE at this point.
And there's Trolldorm with the 6 eyes again. Was a not quite Cthulhu-esque, sort of a Lovecraftian sort of horror right there.
Yeah, I think at this point Radical's going to go to Turtle Rock, but it's going to be a little too late to beat GFE here without some significant issues. There are 4 racers in total tonight. We are just featuring 2 of them.
And yeah, the GT Big Key guessing game is going to be 0 today.
No, Radical. Where's Radical going?
To turn in the green pendant. Oh no.
Okay. Well.
You know.
Oh no, you're going the wrong way. Go back up the mountain. You were where you needed to be.
Ganon does bring up a good point, though. If we're not meant to have midnight snacks, then why is there a light in the fridge? GFE already being on phase 2 of the Ganon fight. That gold sword, that butter sword, making short work, and already on phase 3.
That's 1, 2 extra ones, 3 extra teleports, 3 extra teleports. So there was that prediction. So let's see what it is. 4, 5. Okay, well, we're already on the upper end of teleport. 6. Well, we know who won the prediction, but 7.
And Radical is dipping desert
7.
to see what was on the right side. It looks like a desert.
We had 7 extra teleports. So if you guessed 5 or fewer in the channel points prediction poll, you won. And GFE does get torch glitch, so if you light that torch on the left side before the right one goes out, the right one will never go out.
And even though it's just a split second, using and just spamming the lamp, and that will get you that torch glitch.
And there's the finish. It does take 12 spins, but GFE got them all. So get your GGs in chat for GFE, who, barring any significant issues in the next 2 seconds, will be finishing with an official race time GG time of 1 hour, 42 minutes, and 18 seconds.
GG to GFE. Well done.
Yeah, it was very well done. The roading that he took put him very much in a different location than Sniper the entire time, but clutches it. And with us in the booth, we have GFE. GG.
Honestly surprised that turned out as well as it did, because it didn't feel like it.
It definitely.
Yeah, it.
Sorry,
We're
go
both
ahead.
trying to comment here. I was just saying the entire time it looked like you were behind Radical Sniper. Throughout the race, you were a few items behind the entire time, and then he just couldn't find Ice Run.
Oh, so he didn't go to TR.
No, he's been looking for Ice Rod for at least 15 minutes, if not longer.
Oh, I hope he's not trying to metagame me.
He's now looks like heading to Turtle Rock, but he's done pretty much everything else.
Oh man, yeah. See, the thing is, if I'm just wondering if he's thinking that I would go straight to TR, and so he's trying to metagame and do everything else. But instead, I just never went to Eastern because the answer is go to Eastern, and then the seat's free as long as you do the early TR play. But hindsight 2020.
There was definitely a little bit of time where we were looking at your screen going, go to Eastern, and Radical's going, go to Turtle Rock.
Well, and go to Eastern for a sword, or go to the Outcast for 2 swords.
Yeah, rather than get my first sword at 44 minutes and my second sword at like a little bit after that.
Yeah,
but don't you prefer? Don't you prefer swordless Ice Palace? Isn't that better?
No. Radical had, by that time, at least 5 or 10 minutes before you got your first sword, Radical was already on Tempered.
Yeah, I believe that. Like, if you do early Eastern and you go to Village of Outcasts like a sensible person, then you're at least going to have Master Sword or Tempered by, I don't know, 20 minutes, 25.
Yeah, it was the Village of Outcasts play he did relatively early after you guys got very early Dark World access and got both swords there.
Yeah, hard last located hook is about as hard as it could be. And I thought about leaving Eastern then and there, but I was like, if the bow's in here, I'm just going to kick myself, so I'm going to go ahead and do it.
Yeah, and the silver arrows are in Hookshot Cave, so...
So that's, yeah, Hookshot locked both bows. By chance, did he find boots, or are those in GT?
We do have boots. They were on Vidi.
Ew, okay. So that's how you're supposed to beat Desert. If you logically beat it.
Yeah, we were discussing that, and that's just rude.
Since it was a 6 crystal GT, I was just at that point assuming boots would be in GT.
And either way, it's not a fun location.
Yeah, Vidi versus GT, that's nasty. But like, at least for Sniper, he could not get to GT because of TR.
Right, and also having the silvers at least made it a quicker Vidi fight as well.
Or wait, he had bows, so he could have made the GT play, did he?
He did not.
Okay.
And he is in Turtle Rock right now, so it looks like he will be indeed avoiding GT this race.
At least he avoided that with the 6 crystal. I don't know, I'd been tempted to dive it if I was just one item away, like Ice Rod or boots or something, or bow or something like that.
And fortunately, with y'all both having very early mirror, that definitely made things a little bit nicer than like if Swamp were a pendant dungeon and the mirror was in GT.
Yeah.
Just to quickly jump in, we do have a group joining us from the Speed Gaming 1 channel, the main Speed Gaming channel. So welcome. You're catching the end of A Link to the Past randomizer race. Radical Sniper is about to be entering Go mode very soon and heading to the last boss.
And picking up that butter from the big chest in Turtle Rock. And making the dash for the back. Definitely a little bit nicer of a room, although that Wallmaster can make things a little bit more interesting.
Yeah, that specific Wallmaster have actually had caused me to hardlock before. if you go down the stairs to the dark room on the same frame the Wallmaster grabs you, bad things happen.
Yeah.
That is good to know. And yeah, the wall masters were in effect. The thieves in Thieves Town was at least theme appropriate.
Yeah, there was. I'm trying to remember. There was something about this seed I found. Oh, dig game was nice. That was intriguing.
That really was. And 1 hour 48 minutes 54 seconds. Radical Sniper is in go mode with that ice rod.
What is he looking for? He's the key.
Yep.
Right.
Needs a key.
Needs a key to finish the dungeon.
Yeah, even though TR was a bust otherwise, and I was kind of mad at Left Side Swamp because once I found Kane there after tipping Hookless Swamp, I kind of had no choice. I felt like I had to follow it up with the TR play, but at least it was clearable. Had I gotten everything else, I probably would have gone straight to TR anyway and just hoped Ice Rod was there.
All right, and Radical.
Yeah, nope.
No?
Yeah.
Radical making short work of the Trionex. Already on the second phase, taking care of the fire and the ice heads. So in a couple seconds, Radical will be entering. Will be flying down to fight Ganon.
Yeah. So Giffy, I guess a question with the swords actually kind of being in Village of Outcasts. We noticed that you hadn't done it in quite a while. Was there any particular reason that you just avoided that part of the world for a while?
I'm trying to think what kind of led me on a different path. Trying to remember, where did I get Flute from? Oh, Flute was on Pyramid, okay. So my first Dark World play was Hype to Pyramid, and then I was going to mirror into Uncle and Escape, because I hadn't done that yet. When the Flute was there, that opened all of Light World Death Mountain, so I figured I'm going to go ahead and do this. See if I get anything to kind of point me in a direction in the Dark World. And when I got Myths, and that led me to do the Mire area and Desert first. And then when Checkerboard had Fire Rod, even though kind of Swordless Ice seems a little nasty, I knew I could get one potion and figured, this is basically Map Compass Shuffle, so Ice is 2 extra items. Let's go ahead and clear it. It won't be that bad with Fire Rod and a potion. So I just went ahead and did it. I'm sure I lost a little time not having a sword, but in all honesty, probably wasn't that costly.
Yeah.
Sounds good. We did notice the speaking of Pyramid, the check that you made to see if you were on Swordless.
Yeah, that's very nice thing to do.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
I was commenting on you doing it, and in the moment I was commenting on how you were checking about Swordless. Radical, in that exact moment, found a sword.
Oh, it's always nice when things work out that way on the stream.
That impacts.
Oh, wow.
And speaking of, Radical is on phase 3 of the Ganon fight. And with the Silvers, we'll be making short work of Ganon.
Does not get Torch Glitch. Not all that important when you have Silvers.
And with that, bring it home the bacon. Get your GGs in chat for Radical Sniper.
Yes, and again, barring any last-minute walking off the path, which rarely happens, but once in a while does. We have Radical finishing in second place in tonight's race with 1 hour, 53 minutes, and 1 second. Get your GGs in chat. Both our restreamed runners came in first and second today.
well-run race.
Yeah, we do have Radical here joining us in the booth. GG, Radical Sniper.
Thanks, GG.
GG's. So I heard that you were averse to Turtle Rock.
So I'll be honest, I did something I try not to ever do in a race. I started to metagame.
I called it. When they told me what you were doing, I'm like, he's metagaming me. Little did you know. Care to guess what I hard last location?
Kane Samaria on left side swamp.
Oh no, I got that before I got hook shot. I hard last located hook.
Okay.
So yeah, if you'd gone TR, you had me free in this seed.
Yeah, I was like, I didn't feel like any of the plays I made were that special, so I'm surprised that Hookshot had you for a bit.
I mean, I avoided Eastern area for so long, and it's Sphere 1. Something's there. I'm in bad shape anyway, so let's just keep putting it off.
I mean,
And
I don't blame you.
I mean, it just turned out that way. I was happy to hear at least that you chose TR over GT, because I don't know if
crossed
I've
my
done that.
mind. Well, that was the thing. I think, I go to Meyer and get my boots, and I'm like, the first thing that crossed my mind was, great, apparently I signed up for True Ice Rod Hunt tonight.
Yep. I was honestly, like, from my position, I was assuming boots were going to be in GT, so when they told me where they were, that was just pretty awful.
We have a question from chat for Radical Sniper. Right at the end there, was there any particular reason that you went for the green pendant instead of just dipping right into Turtle Rock?
Beyond the fact that I just was like, GFE's not done yet, or had been just finished, and I was like, maybe that was a turn in, maybe GFE did Hera early, because like I looked at it, I was like, you could have Hera potted and gone up without fire, possible.
If you have hook shot.
Yeah. Well, I didn't think you would have missed hook shot.
I mean, care to guess when I got my first sword?
Oh yeah.
I mean, what first sword was that I had was what, chest game?
Yes.
Tough call. Because that was like 15 minutes, I think, for a sword on my end.
Yeah, ish.
Try triple that, 44.
What?
I mean, I'd already done hammerless ice by that point. Or swordless ice, not hammerless.
Wow.
Yeah,
Did you do it? Did you do it caneless?
Yeah, yep. I
wow.
did.
Okay.
Because of the map compass shuffle, I was like, we'll go for this. Basically, my route after I got Dark World access, I did hike to Pyramid, mirrored to do Hyrule Castle then, and check to see if it was swordless. And then when I got Flute, I just activated, went to the mountain, got the mitts, that led me to Meyer area, got me the fire rod, so I was like, well, let's go do ice. And yeah, so first sword, 44 minutes, second sword, 44 and a half.
And ironically, Radical, as you were getting your first sword was exactly when GFE was trying to use the hammer to get into Hyrule Castle.
Okay.
So at that exact moment, you both knew that it was not swordless, at least.
Yeah, that was the thing. I was like, let's figure out some settings. And, immediately you're like, it's Randomizer. Okay. And then after that, you're like, is it keys? Is it entrance? Is it anything? And then just one after the other, you're just like, okay, this isn't too bad. And then you start seeing maps and compasses, and you're like, okay.
We were also.
I mean,
we were also both very glad that neither of you used Fake Flipper to try to get to the hobo. With that thief swimming along in the water.
yeah.
I mean, rollers,
when you have a
right?
thief there, that's pretty awful. Those rollers were pretty rough too. I'm honestly.
We felt like there were a lot of thieves and Lionels in the early game from what we were seeing. How did it feel for you as runners?
The Lionel in Old Man Rescue was fun. I had a fairy, so I wasn't worried. At first I left, and then I was like, oh yeah, I've still got my fairy. Let's go rescue. But the rollers in the water, and there weren't any in too awful locations as long as you don't have to take flipper. Luckily you got flippers then.
Yeah. I would say having blue mail super early kind of gave a little
Yeah.
boost of confidence.
I had early red mails, so that was comfy.
Yeah, I don't remember when the red mail came. I just remember having blue and thinking, well, this is great.
I am pretty shocked that I didn't die in Dark Cross, because I was down to like half a heart, and I saw the bomb slug flying, walking around somewhere, and somehow got the chest on half a heart.
Yeah,
I had my fairy, but still, that was tense.
I completely forgot to go into Hyrule Castle later. It was just like, eh. And then I'm up on the mountain. I'm like, if it's not in TR and it's not in GT, and I left it in Hyrule Castle, how stupid am I going to feel?
Oh wow, you never even did Hyrule Castle?
Nope.
Well, you missed your piece of heart in Dark Cross. Totally worth it.
Dang.
Well, and I think
I have to ask you, GFE, you didn't do Hookshot Cave?
With what?
No. Like, wait, did you do TR before getting your hookshot?
I did Hookless Swamp. Went straight to TR.
Oh, okay.
The only things I had left when doing Hookless Swamp, I had all of Pod Eastern, I had North Dark World, Zora, and then I had Hera, which I actually chose to go ahead and do Hera before TR, just in case Ice Rod. But yeah, that came unless I felt forced just to go to TR, because I'd already put off the Eastern area for so long.
Yeah, that explains some things.
I was terrified Boots were just going to be sitting in Saha's closet. But no, not even close, apparently.
Yeah, they were on Vidi.
Oh, good see.
I guess the other thing I have to say is you both did a lot of dark rooms for an Randomizer.
I'm trying to think. Other than Dark Cross and Old Man Rescue.
I think it's because you did that, but the Radical Sniper did Pod and Eastern Dark, so we were watching a lot of rooms kind of simultaneously.
Yeah,
you did those before.
I'll tell you what it was from me on those. When it came to Eastern, I don't mind doing big key usually, especially with blue mail and the number of hearts I had at that point. Back room, I felt okay because I had Bombos.
Oh wow, you cleared Eastern. Okay.
Well, that was the thing. Like, I knew with it being Randomizer, I was like, I can get through this dungeon and beat it, and maybe I'll find something helpful. Because that was pretty early, and then
you probably did. You know it was a pendant at that point?
No.
Okay, that makes sense then.
I kind of didn't prioritize maps. I checked the map a ton, just never found out that it was a pendant until I finished it. Beat Armos without a bow.
Oh.
I mean, that's fun, right?
Yeah.
That was still a very well done fight, though.
That was an interesting one. I haven't done a bowless Armos in a while.
Tucker probably helps.
Yeah, a little bit. And then Dark Maze of Pod. I went with Bombos or Ether early in that room, and other than that, I think there was maybe a Fire Snake or something, and a Wall Master. So nothing terrible. Like, that was a pretty tame Dark Maze.
Did you get trolled by any Wall Masters?
Luckily not. I think I've learned my lesson in Ice to always hesitate an extra second or two.
Yeah.
I've had too many Randomizer seeds where I've gone into Ice Palace, Icebreakered, and then in the H room have started picking up the block to be grabbed, and then the same before Cold Stare. I've had that happen at least a few times, and you don't forget it.
The one's rough. No, you don't.
All right. So, do y'all have any final thoughts on that seed?
I mean, I wish it'd been a little more spicy. I wouldn't have minded some boss shuffle, maybe cross keys or something like that. But
yeah, I was kind of looking forward to entrance.
At least we got some Randomizer.
Yeah.
I'll go ahead and say really appreciate you guys, Finch and Zethno, for the commentary. Thanks to, let's see, Arteril for the tracking, looks like. Appreciate it. And to all the Speed Gaming crew, I know Mind of Me set this one up. So really appreciate everything everyone puts in to this. GG's again to you, Sniper. You'll get me someday.
Yep, no, that was the thing. I was like, I just don't want to get embarrassed tonight.
You beat yourself. That's
yep,
what you
I
did.
Note to self and note to anybody: do not metagame. Go with your instincts. It is always on Laser Bridge.
It's still very. That was still a very close race for most of it, and GG to both of you, to GFE, to Sniper. GG's.
We do have Tiberius joining us in chat here too, just as for the record, who did finish third in the race and has completed, and our race is done with our 4th place finisher as well.
All right, congratulations to all racers.
Yeah.
Yep.
I think GFE kind of did our sign off for us. But yeah, thanks to our runners. And please don't forget to give a follow to our runners. We got to say thank you to our tracker, as always, tonight, Arturo, who we could not have done this cast. I think Sorcerer will agree with me.
Oh,
this
absolutely.
is very difficult without the tracker.
It makes it much more complicated. Thank you, Arturo, for tracking.
So yeah, I've been Zethno, and I've been here with Sorcerer Finch, and for everyone else, if you enjoyed today, don't forget to follow this channel, the other Speed Gaming and Speed Gaming 236 to keep up, and keep a lookout for our other dailies and other events.
Especially with the qualifiers for the Link to the Past for the tournament starting in just under a month, starting at March 21st. So.
Other than that, we hope you all have a good time. Thanks for joining us, and see you next time.
Y'all have a great night.